Now, I want to talk to you about this case right here out of Arizona. I'm sure you guys are already aware that they claim that they have a suspect in custody. And for you, those who don't know, they started labeling whoever was the shooter a domestic terrorist. They were calling it domestic terrorism, right? So they already started implementing their label. Well, there's a war, people, that are going on with the governments, whether it be state or federal, against the people. I'm going to show you how it's being played out, right? So obviously, they're starting to institute this terminology of terrorism, and it's starting to go against the people, right? Let's take this for instance. You have a serial killer, and basically everybody's living in fear in the town, and they're terrorized. They don't want to come out of their home in fear of a serial killer getting to them, right? Let's take Ted Bundy. All of the college females that he was going after, they were all terrorized and in fear. Did they call him a serial terrorist? Of course not. They called him a serial killer. A serial rapist, same thing. Do you call him a domestic serial rapist? Of course you don't. Or a terrorist rapist. It's not the case. This instance right here, you have a serial sniper. So what is the difference? Why are they all of a sudden changing this? And I want to show you that it's not all of a sudden. And I'm going to show you that there is a war against governments, against the people. And this is one of their tactics to go to war against you. Whether this is a psyop to do that, to institute this label more widely, let me show you some of the instances where it was instituted even before this. Okay. Back around a few years back, there were the people in the sovereign movement that were really instituting these liens against government entities, whether they were judges, police departments, police officers, whatever. They were filing liens, which was their legal right to do under the Uniform Commercial Code. And we'll even tell you right here that it was starting to get out of control so bad that they labeled the sovereign movement people who were using these liens paper terrorists. And that's what they were being charged under, paper terrorism, to do what was absolutely legal. And they go on to tell you here in this story in the New York Times, although the filing of liens for outrageous sums of other seemingly frivolous claims might appear laughable, dealing with them can be nightmarish, right? Think about this. Dealing with this could be nightmarish, so much so that the FBI has labeled the strategy paper terrorism. A lien can be filed by anyone under the Uniform Commercial Code, right? Okay, so where's the war at? Right here. Civil asset forfeiture. That's what the police departments use to go after you using terroristic tactics. They don't file any charges against you. They take your money, and it could be a nightmare to get your money back legally that you legally own. And they're getting away with it. I'm telling you now that there is a war against the people, and they are using labels, terminologies. We're seeing hoaxed events. That there's a war on the minds of the people. There's a war on your pocketbook. It's once you start seeing that it's us against them, rather than they're there to look out for you, to protect you, to serve and protect, they're not. The FBI is going to label somebody a paper terrorist on something that is legal for them to do, right? It may be nightmarish. Well, so is civil asset forfeiture, where a person will have to spend $20,000 or more with the lawyer just to get his $13,000 of funds back that a cop took. That's not a nightmare. That's not attack on people's rights, right? You're not being charged with the crime. How can you impound somebody's money and then laugh about it because you know that they're not going to spend $15,000 to $20,000 to get the $13,000 that you took? Isn't this a form of terrorism against the people? Aren't you starting to see it now? That they're above the law. They're going to keep you in utter servitude with labels, attacks, hoaxes. That's what I got to tell you, folks. And there's many more examples that I could give you other than civil asset forfeiture, We're talking about laws whatever laws that they create that really comes down hard on the public, but not on the cops for terrorizing a town, beating up people left and right, beating them with nightsticks, shooting them in the back, and yet they get a pat on the back and some money gets paid out by the taxpayers, and they're still left on the job. So who do you think is the terrorist, really? Yeah, that's what I got to say.